Hey YouTube, Kiratwig here, bringing you all an update to my Red Dragon Archfiend Yugioh deck profile for post the September 2024 ban list. Calamity finally got hit on the latest Yu-Gi-Oh ban list. People were saying this card was going to be hit for the last couple ban lists. It was just a card that could completely shut down other decks, and as a result of this card being used in other decks like Centurion, it had to be hit and as such affected the Red Dragon Archfiend deck. But that means we can update the deck also with some of the changes I've made to the main deck as a whole since the last update to the deck, which I believe was the Terminal Revenge booster set. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Resonator monsters, which are a big part of the Red Dragon Archfiend deck, we're running 3 copies of Soul Resonator. If this card's normal or special summon, you can add 1 level 4 lower Fiend monster from your deck to your hand, except for Soul Resonator. Also, you cannot special summon for the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for Dark Synchro monsters. And if a card you control be destroyed by battle, or be destroyed by card effect while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Added protection on top of being able to search out your go-to Fiend monster for any additional plays that you want to do using this card. A definite 3-of just for that extra protection that it can do off of its banish cost, and then the search power that it can also do when it's normal or special summoned. We're also running 3 copies of Crimson Resonator. With this card, if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If the only other monster you control is exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can special summon up to 2 Resonator monsters from your hand or deck, except for Crimson Resonator. You can only use each effect of Crimson Resonator once per turn, but this card's meant to help set up your go-to play of getting into your bigger Synchro monsters, because you can use your cards like your Red Rising Dragon to then summon back your Crimson Resonator, and then use this card to grab 2 more tuners, go into your Red Dragon Archfiend, and still have those 2 tuners available for you to then go into your even bigger Synchro plays. Some of the lower numbers for the Resonator monsters: 2 copies of Vision Resonator. If a level 5 or higher dark monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Vision Resonator once per turn this way, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand. So having more search power for some of the specifics for our spell and traps is a big help as well. And then just an easy special summon to the field also using this card. And 2 copies of Synchron Resonator. I really like this card, along with the 1 copy of Chain Resonator for the level 1 option. You have the special summon play off of your normal summon for your Chain Resonator, just being able to summon a Resonator monster from your deck, except for Chain Resonator. So then you can use this card to grab your Soul Resonator and still have the special summon search off of this card as well. And then Synchron Resonator, if a Synchro monster on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can go and special summon it once per turn, and if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a Resonator monster in your graveyard, except for Synchron Resonator, and add to your hand, giving you more of a recycle option with this card as well. For the actual Fiend monsters, we run 3 copies of Bone Archfiend. If this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon this card. Also, you can special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for Dark Synchro monsters. You can target a face-up monster you control that has a level, send 1 Fiend tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do increase or decrease that monster's level by 1, you can use this effect of Bone Archfiend once per turn. So being able to then use the effect of this card for that setup for your summon, target and face-up monster you control that has a level, and send 1 Fiend monster from your hand or deck. So that can adjust the Soul Resonator that we use for this card summon as well, by sending that additional Resonator monster from the deck to the graveyard to make it a level 2 to then go into Red Rising Dragon. I have 1 copy of Wandering King Wildwind, the 1 copy of Obsessive Loop, and the 1 copy of Red Lotus King Flame Crime. Honestly, this could be a 3-of count if you wish for Red Lotus King Flame Crime. They're all Fiend monsters that can be searched off of Soul Resonator, so that's a big thing to remember, which one you may particularly want for the play. If you don't have the Red Lotus King Flame Crimes, you can always replace them with Obsessive Loops and Wild Winds for that spot. I really do like the 1-ofs for each of these. They each have their specifics that they can come in handy with, depending on the situation that you summon them out for. But if you want to go for the 3, I would say Flame Crime be the best one to rely on. And then also I run the small engine, still like it, the 1 Supe and the 3 Supe Duskwalkers, just for the added easy level 6 synchro summon that you can do with these cards, giving you the summon onto the field and then being able to go into Red Rising Dragon, needing the Fiend tuner, which is your Supe, to be able to summon this card out. And lastly, for the main deck monsters, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and 3 copies of Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. Still trying to adjust to what hand traps I prefer for this current format, but I still like the effect negation of Moonlit Chill when your opponent summons out a monster, and the search effect prevention for Ash Blossom. For the spells, we have a small spell lineup, including 3 copies of Resonator Call. It's a non-once per turn add of a Resonator monster from your deck to your hand, so if you have multiple of this card, you could search out your needed Resonator, but still, as I said, Soul Resonator sets up so many plays, so a better one to grab just off of that search. And 3 copies of Crimson Gaia, having the Red Dragon Archfiend in the name, so another viable search for Vision Resonator. During your main phase, you can add 1 Red Dragon Archfiend or 1 card that mentions it from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except for Crimson Gaia. And when your Red Dragon Archfiend declares an attack, you can change all monsters your opponent control to face down defense, and if a monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Red Dragon Archfiend from your graveyard, giving you a resource to then reuse again on the field, being the synchro that is needed for a good amount of the extra deck summons also. With the last of our spells just being 1 copy of Monster Reborn, just another extended resource grab. That's why I like running the 1 of for this card in the deck. So then you always have that search and available option for you to use with this card as well. For the traps we are running, I have a 1 of count for some other traps in the deck as well. The 1 copy of Earthbound Resonance, the 1 copy of Red Zone, and the 1 copy of Red Rain. With these cards, you have Red Rain as the normal trap to be able to send off of one of our other plays that I mentioned before, with this card being able to then use as the added go-to search. If you control level 8 or higher synchro monster, banish all monsters on the field, except for monsters with the highest level. Also, the remaining face-up monsters on the field are unaffected by other card effects except their own until the end of this turn. If a Dark Dragon Synchro monster is synchro summoned to your field while this card's in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. This is the send and search that I mentioned before, being able to send off this card and then add it back when you just do the main play summon of the deck to begin with. And then with Red Zone, when your opponent activates a card effect while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a synchro monster that mentions it, you can target 1 card on the field and destroy it, and you can target one of those banished Dark Dragon Synchro monsters and special summon it. So then you have more special summon resources thanks to Red Zone and Earthbound Resonance for more of a burn option with your big dark synchro monsters. And then lastly, the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. You can go off of just 1 or 2 card combos for a lot of this deck. So hand traps being another big part of the deck, I would say definitely does come in handy just with your added resources being able to be used in the deck to begin with. For the extra deck, the good majority of the extra deck is, consisting of Red Dragon Archfiend cards, but we have the Calamity missing, so that is a big part of it. For the Red Dragon Archfiend monsters, we're running 1 copy of the original Red Dragon Archfiend and the 1 copy of Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while on the field or in the graveyard. If it's sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. It's treated as a synchro summon. And then if it was sent to the graveyard as synchro material for a Dark Dragon Synchro, you can destroy all attacks of monsters your opponent controls. So making it as a Red Dragon Archfiend with that resource, we have to run the original Red Dragon Archfiend because it only counts as Red Dragon Archfiend while in the extra deck. The other cards become Red Dragon Archfiend while they are on the field. So you still have to have that 1 original copy to use with Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. And also the 2 copies of Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. Once again, another card that becomes the name of Red Dragon Archfiend on the field, but with a much better destruction effect as well, just being a once per turn to destroy as many special summon effect monsters on the field, and then have burn damage for those cards for each monster destroyed. The 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend as well, another destruction effect, and just cannot attack other than this card for the rest of the turn. The 3 copies of Red Rising Dragon. This card sets up so many of your plays with Soul Resonators, so you definitely want it as a 3 of. Just always have this resource when it's synchro summon, being able to target a Resonator monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but then being locked into Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. Bigger Red Dragon Archfiend cards include the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, the 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane, the 1 copy of Red Nova Dragon, along with the 1 copy of Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend, and the 1 copy of Red Supernova Dragon, all big synchro monsters, depending on the situation you want to go for, to be able to go into, with the rest of our Dark Dragon synchro monsters being 1 Void Ogre Dragon and the 1 Kuibelt Blade Dragon, having another destruction play with this level 7 monster, and then another negation with Void Ogre Dragon. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said, the one best setup would be with Soul Resonator, just being able to summon out this card, normal summoning it to add 1 level 4 lower Fiend monster from your deck to your hand. So with this card, you can add your Bone Archfiend. If it's in your hand or graveyard, send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon this card. So you just need that one additional card in your hand to send to the graveyard, summoning out this card to the field. And then also, with this card, you can target a face-up monster you control that has a level, send 1 Fiend Tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard to increase or decrease that monster's level. So then what you can do is you can send your Crimson Resonator to the graveyard and then decrease this level by 1, giving you a level 6 Synchro Summon. So then with that, you'll summon out your Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon, when it's special summon, to special summon a monster for this play. When Synchro Summon, you can target the Crimson Resonator that was sent to the graveyard off of the Bone Archfiend, summoning it back onto the field. And then with this card being able to use its effect, if you control exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, which you do, you can special summon up to 2 Resonator monsters from your hand or deck, except for Crimson Resonator. So then you can use this card to be able to summon out your Synchron Resonator, and then also your additional Soul Resonator from your deck for this play. So you've already used the effect of Soul Resonator, but then you can use the Crimson Resonator and the Red Rising Dragon to then go into your level 8 Synchro play, and then having the additional 2 monsters being your 2 tuners needed to then use those monsters to go into your bigger Red Dragon Archfiend summon. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just wanted to update the deck with Calamity being changed. And as I said, I also changed a couple other cards from the deck. So I wanted to update it as best as I could since then. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.